Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the 2022 Volkswagen Jetta. Now, whether you're looking for a new one or a used one, this video is for you because what I'm going to do is go into some of the details that the other videos really aren't showing you. And I want to show you how impressed I am with this car because I'm one of those people who probably overlooked Volkswagen for a while. And the reason some of us do that is because Volkswagen isn't like some of the other car manufacturers that continue to really reintroduce a new model that looks different, that acts different, that feels different than the previous model. Volkswagen is a company of evolution, and they are one of the best at that. And there are pieces and functions and technologies in this car that frankly you probably wouldn't expect, and even I didn't expect. And this is a really impressive vehicle that, like I said, sometimes gets overlooked. So if you want to know more about this car and I don't cover it in this video, make sure you let me know in the comment section and subscribe, because I'll be able to answer your questions both in the comment section and in future videos. And I can do that because I'm filming here at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals is amazing. They are known as Canada's huggable car dealer. And if you're looking at this car and want to compare it to other cars just like it, you have the same huggable salesperson that can take care of you in this car. They can compare the same numbers, apples to apples, to another car, another style of car, and you can really compare lots of different vehicles together, and they can help you make the best decision for you. So if you want the Volkswagen today, sure. If you want the Mazda instead, not a problem. They can help you out. And of course, they give me complete access to their entire vehicle lineup, so that helps me make better videos and more videos for you. All right, it's raining today, so we're gonna go quickly over the outside, but I really wanna cover the inside technology, so let's start with the outside. So one of the key pieces that a lot of these vehicles are adding that is pretty standard in the class is a little camera view up here. It's a little triangle up there. That camera can do all kinds of things, but the primary reason is safety. So it has lane safety features. It has ability to automatically brake when it sees vehicles or other things in front of you. It has the ability to dim and turn on and off your headlights. And some manufacturers leave a lot of those features to the very high-end cars, and they just give you some of the features down low. But Volkswagen does a good job of giving you a good suite of features out in front. The other nice thing they do, LED headlights, they're standard across the range right now. So you've got LED headlights which give you not only a brighter light, but a whiter light. And that white light is the natural daylight color. What that means is that your brain more easily identifies what you're seeing at night simply because of these bright lights. Now the other thing is these bright lights have a sharp cutoff. So that sharp cutoff means that if it's done really well, it doesn't actually light up the road sign. So your daytime running lights, which are also LED on this, also can shine to light up those street signs at night. So it's a lot of good lighting technology, a lot of good safety technology. Let's just take a look quickly at the back and rear seat before we move into the front seat and talk about that technology. Coming along the back here, one thing I'm quickly gonna do is just jump in and tap the brake lights here. So as we do that, you will be able to see that the LED brake lights are, oh, we gotta turn the car on for that. So let's do that. LED brake lights, there you go. You've got good LED brake lights right there. And it's mad at me because the engine's running, the door's open. But the point is you have nice lighting on the rear as well. Now, let's talk about the trunk for a quick second. SUVs are all the craze, but sedans still have a pretty good sized trunk. Let's show you the key fob. There's your key fob. You have a trunk opening button there, lock and unlock, and then a double tap for the remote start. Let's just pop that trunk right there. Tap that, you can see those lights blink, and it comes up like that, which is super handy. Now, it's raining and wet. This trunk does a good job keeping all that raining and drippingness all out of the trunk. And the thing with sedans is you have a really large and long floor. So we're gonna come in here a little closer to give you an example of what that is. So one thing I love about Volkswagen is everything in here is nicely carpeted, and they also drop the floor down. Again, a typical crossover in this segment would have a shorter floor, but a wider, taller opening. So the downfall of something like the Jetta is you can't fit massive boxes in the trunk here, but the win is that whatever does fit in here has a very long floor, 60/40 fold down seat, so you can still fit a lot of length in there, and that works really well. Again, that carpet is nice, kind of as a nice sort of feeling. And little things, a lot of the times the seats fold down from the front, these ones fold down from the back here, so you can open the trunk from here, which is super, or open the seats there, the fold down seats from the back here, which is super convenient. So good sized trunk, nicely carpeted, and again, that long floor that's harder to see on video, but really stands out. So now we're gonna jump in the back seat, but before we do, I just wanna point out the view of this car. A lot of Jetta, or a lot of small vehicles will kind of cheap out on trim, and there is no way that this Jetta feels less expensive. You've got the nice sort of chrome trim along the back with this dark trim along the top. You've got the wheels that are nice with black and bright trim, so that kind of matches out. Some chrome along the back on this one, and again, the body color everywhere. The paint is also a nice metallic paint that shows up nicely in the summer sun, but right now we're dealing with you know, the springtime rains, even though it is summer right now. All right, as we jump in here, the driver's seat is set to where I would need it. And Volkswagen is fairly utilitarian in their look. There's nothing too crazy here, nothing too fancy, but they do have some interesting patterns here. You've got some pattern down there. Over here, it looks like it's hard plastic, but you can see it is a soft rubber. My hands are a little wet from the rain here. You've got speakers in the door, little tweeters that are set back a little bit there. So again, nothing too fancy, but practical, and it works. Now let me jump in here. We'll flip the camera around and show you what it's like for space. But before we go too far, let me just point out that the rear seats here, they are heated at 3 levels. So left and right seat are heated. The center, of course, is not. Let's talk about what we've got here. So generally speaking, sedans are not quite as good for rear seat passengers as crossovers, but the Jetta kind of bucks that trend a little bit. So you can see headroom is pretty good. I'm, you know, about 6 feet tall, so it's not like immense or anything, but it's good. And that, again, the roof line of sedans kind of curls back around where the passenger sits. So again, totally fine there. Now, what I do like is very few sedans have my legs for a 6-footer that sit flush on the seat and then have a nice sort of angle there. Having legs flush on the seat is a big thing. Some crossovers don't do that, despite the fact that they've got the height to do it, you know, and they don't do it. So you've got really good, comfortable seats here. And then you can see, whoops, going the wrong way there. You can see here with my knees, this is a 6-footer, that's what I am, sitting behind a 6-footer. This is where I need the driver's seat. And you have a lot of room back here. So for a compact type car, this has excellent space, long trunk floor, a lot of rear seat space, and good comfort overall. And that's really kind of Volkswagen's secret with their packaging, is that they've grown the Jetta over the years, but it's still a compact car and it's got great space for passengers. Now, a 5th passenger is not going to be as comfortable. The center seat, you know, typical small car stuff, it's not as comfortable, but for 4 people, this is really, really good. So coming back outside, we're going to approach the driver's side door. Now, of course, this is keyless entry and it has a little button on the door right there. I could tap that to unlock it. The vehicle is already unlocked, so I don't have to tap that, but that's how it works. Coming down here, Volkswagen seats are among the best in the industry. And if you like Volkswagen seats, you're probably going to find it difficult to find that same feeling just about anywhere else. And Volkswagen on this trim line really does it well. So first of all, they are memory seats on this one. You've got 1, 2, and 3 memory settings for the seats. You also have the typical adjustments for a power seat. And then what I like is this is such a simple thing, but this is your lumbar support, and it is in front of these. It makes it a little easier to reach when you're driving, because this is the one you're going to want to move while you're driving. Once you've found your spot with these ones, you tend to not really move them much when you're driving, but your lumbar on a long drive is when you reach, and having it forward instead of like most manufacturers behind makes it a little easier to reach. So the other thing you'll find is nice stitching in here, nice contrast stitching there, and firm side bolstering, like quite firm side bolstering. So it really holds you in place both in your back and on the seat. It's really comfortable there. So let's jump in. We'll go fully wide angle for a second here. Tilt and telescopic steering wheel. I won't touch it for this video, but here's some other stuff that Volkswagen does really, really well. So we've got the full wide angle thing here going. We're going to touch down to the push button start, which is not buried where I can't see it on the dash behind the steering wheel. It's right in a logical spot. You're going to press the start button and put the car in gear, and off you go. So that makes sense if I was using my right hand's on the camera, but if I was using my right hand, tap and go, that's where you need to do things. So the other thing is, you can say it says steering wheel heater on. That is something I turned on a little earlier, just trying it out, and it does stay on with your you know, if you turn the vehicle on, it'll stay on. So in the middle of winter, you're not turning that on, then turning your seat heaters on. And I'll show you again, seat heaters down here. We'll show you them a little bit later, but they're also already on. So a lot of good things in here. I'm just going to switch one thing over here. There we go. Bring it back to the radio. All right. This is what I love about Volkswagen. They do this probably better than anyone. So I can hit this little view button right here and customize my dash in various ways. Now you can see I have it set for navigation. So a typical dash would just look like this. Even this is better than almost all of its competitors because it gives you that navigation right where you need it, which is right in the center of your dash. But Most of us don't need a tachometer. Most of us don't really need the full digital speedometer. So this allows you to switch views to something like this, where you still got your gear indicator on the left, so you know where that is. You've still got your speedometer on the bottom right, but now you've got a full screen dash in here. And that is a really, really nice thing to have. And then that leaves this over here for your radio and everything else. Now, there is going to be some glare in this video right here, and I was going to try to show you what I just showed you there without introducing it, but I guess now you already saw a preview. We'll show you what I was talking about in 1 second. But there is going to be some glare in there on the screen, but I don't really see it with my two eyes. When you have two eyes looking at the camera or looking at the screen, you don't see the glare. The camera only has one eye looking at it, and that's why you see a little more glare. This is angled nicely towards the driver, so you have a very driver-focused environment with this screen here, which is fantastic. It's not flickering in real life, it just flickers in its interaction with the camera. And then you have this screen here. So look at the bottom of the screen there, FM, all these lines and dots and that kind of thing. What this does is it maximizes screen space, but now watch as I bring my finger close to those buttons on the bottom. I didn't touch the screen, right? I'm still quite a ways away from the screen here. Like, you know, I'm quite a ways away. And as soon as my finger is sensed coming near the screen, those buttons become larger. So again, I'm 3, 4, 5 inches away from that screen easily. And as soon as I'm going towards them, it makes those buttons larger. So this is just a great example of Volkswagen's technology, how they're maximizing their screen space. When you don't have, you know, when you're not trying to interact with it, it's got maximized screen space, but when you are trying to interact, as soon as I get close, again, I'm not even close, now I'm touching the presets, right? So it's just one of those things. Let me just show you again from the side view, if I can here. Coming in here, way away from the screen, I'm all the way now, I'm touching it, right? So it's quite good for, you know, just interacting with that there. And then of course you've got everything else up here. You can have information up here in settings and other things, but even just look at things like the menu. Some things you don't see here. If we'll go to the vehicle here, we'll go to the settings menu here. Ambient lighting is one of my favorite things. It's got 10 different colors of ambient lighting. So what I like about it is ambient lighting in the daylight is very difficult to see. I'm filming here in the daylight, you just can't see it all, even if it was on. I think it's off right now. But yeah, what's cool is, again, as I bring my hand to that screen, it will come up, right? So again, I'm just in front of the screen. I'm not actually touching the screen, but you can move this to any color you want. So you can have the bright yellow, you can have a green, have a blue. I think it was on purple when I got the car. I got to put the red because it matches the exterior, but you can customize all this ambient lighting. And then you can also customize where the brightness of all this is. So you can customize all that. But even the screen display is among the best in the industry because it shows you exactly where that ambient lighting is. And that's exact match to the dash here. It's underneath there, it comes around underneath there, and you can customize that brightness as you want. So these are just little examples of a number of things in this system that do a really good job of you know, just explaining what you have in here. So really cool stuff in there. Coming down here though, instead of just a touchscreen, you do have a lot of hard buttons. So a lot of companies are moving to a you know, a touchscreen only type display. Here you've got the typical dials, but again, automatic climate control, just set it to automatic. It's a dual zone system, so you can have 22 here, 22 and a half, 23, 25 over there. Do whatever you want there. The seat heater I do need to turn off right now. It's getting quite warm. But yeah, it works really well with the buttons. Coming down here, wireless charge pad. USB-C ports right there, and so you have lots of ways to charge your phone. Now I believe this exact car is also wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. I'll double check that for you in a second. We'll put it on the screen here if I'm wrong, but I'm expecting that to be the case. And that means you can wirelessly charge, you can bring up your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and that is also super helpful down here. A couple things, I mentioned this in a previous video and I think it got overplayed. The gear indicator is sort of like a screen on top of your gear shift here, and I mentioned that I didn't like it because your hand hides it, but of course, you know, I probably should, that got overplayed a little bit. There's always a gear indicator in your dash there. So what I didn't like is that a lot of cars have the gear indicator down here, and if that's where you're looking for your gear indicator, you're gonna have to get used to looking in your dash when your hand comes on top of this, but that works totally fine. You have an 8-speed transmission here. Let's talk about the powertrain really quickly. So Volkswagen does interesting things with their powertrain. They've now, like many manufacturers, downsized the engine. It's a 1.5 liter engine, it's a turbo engine, and it makes about 158 horsepower. But it makes more torque than that, 185 or so foot-pounds of torque. So it makes more torque than horsepower. And that is not typical in the auto industry. Most of them like to make a little bit more horsepower than torque, or even horsepower and torque. But when you have more torque than horsepower, from foot-pounds to horsepower, that creates a kind of a unique feeling, because torque is the power you feel. So you have that good efficiency with plenty of power, and the torque is that passing power. It's the type of power that we use on a regular basis. If you go to a racetrack and you're traveling at 250 kilometers an hour, having 700 horsepower is helpful. But if you're driving speed limits to 140, 150 kilometers an hour, that kind of thing, let's just say 140 kilometers an hour and less, which is well beyond the speed limit here in Canada, you don't need 300 horsepower. So the torque is what you feel. That's the power that really gets you going, and that's what this has got. And then it combines that with a dual clutch transmission that's among the best in the business. What that means is it's instant shifts, it's great for efficiency, it's great for fun to drive, and that's really what this car is a really good mix of. Good efficiency and very fun to drive. They make the GTI, they put a little bit of that GTI in everything in this vehicle. So you've got a really good balanced powertrain to give you the horsepower that you need along with the efficiency you need, but torque, and torque low in the RPMs, low in the rev range, which is a really good way to do it. While we're looking at the driver's seat here, the other thing that you're not going to notice on video, but you will notice in real life, is this is not a standard size sunroof. This is an oversized. On the outside, it goes edge to edge sunroof, and you can see it kind of goes, you know, my headroom now, instead of being underneath here where a headroom would be tight, where I'm sitting is plenty of headroom there because it's that wider, bigger sunroof. It really has a feeling of openness in here, and I really like that. And you can see there's a lighter up top and darker down here. A lot of cars do that, but Volkswagen does one thing with this lighter color that way more cars need to do. Let me show you that right now. All right, so we looked at the passenger, or we've seen the seats. There's the passenger seat there, gear shift, cup holders, a little spot to put your things, maybe a phone if you need to, if you don't want to put the wireless charger. And then you've got your little tiny, you know, it's not huge, opening here, but this armrest is light color on the inside. And what that does, excuse me, there we go. What that does is it makes anything in there easy to see. So cars are always a little darker than daylight anyways, and if it's in the evening, sometimes you drop something down here and you just cannot find it. Being white in color makes it way easier to see everything in there, which makes it way easier to find something. So if you drop something down, like a little, maybe a USB plug or something like that, you know, something that's just in there, the white color makes it brighter, easier to see. It's a simple thing, but it's a cool thing, and it shows how Volkswagen's attention to detail. This is what happens when a car evolves instead of just fully redesigns. How do we make the same thing better? That's what Volkswagen does well. Also a USB port in there, so you can charge your phone in there. Of course, you can run your cables out here and set your phone there if you wanted to. So if you're not just using a wireless charger, or maybe you have a second phone to charge, you have that option there as well. So let's talk about who this car is for. Now, Jettas sometimes used to compete with sort of that entry-level type vehicle many years ago. This is a slight step up from the entry level, and I think that kind of fits. And again, this Highline trim that we're looking at today is, again, a slight step up, but it's not full-on GTI performance. So where does this, or GLI performance would be the Jetta version. So where does this fit? Well, if you're looking for something that is economical, stylish, professional, this is a great car. If you had to take clients out in this, it's a very nice car with very good technology that really impresses on the inside. On the outside, while not being overly flashy, it does show a level of sophistication that sometimes some of the other small sedans don't show. It rides well, it handles well, it gets great efficiency, and it's an alternative to an SUV. Everyone's buying SUVs right now, but there's a lot of great reasons to have this. A lower roof line just makes it easier to get efficiency, especially as you're driving down the highway. It also makes it a little bit more fun to handle because it has a lower center of gravity. So you end up with something that is really nice on the inside, great safety features, really impressive technologies, and it has evolved to get better and better. Like I said, Volkswagen is a really, really good company at taking what they've got and saying, how do we make what we've got better? Where a lot of other companies will say, let's scrap that design and come up with a whole new design, and then you're always trying to work on, you know, changing things. This one has evolved over time into a very, very impressive car. So, if you want to know more, make sure you swing by Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. If you want to know more from me, make sure you let me know in the comments section, and I'll make sure I come back to you with answers to your comments as well as future videos. And if you own a Jetta, tell me what you love about it so we can sort of create a video database of information for those people that want to look at this. Thanks everybody for watching.